Greetings from the Alario Center in Westwego, Louisiana. It's the second annual Big Easy Classic on Crescent City Sports. Game 3 of 5 over 3 days here in the New Orleans suburbs. Today it's a matchup between a couple of teams that are actually familiar with each other, former conference mates. It's New Mexico State and Fresno State. I'm Jude Young and joined for this broadcast by Emmanuel Peppes, who had our game earlier. High Point defeating Louisiana's Raging Cajuns 77-62. And Manny, in this game, we've got a team in New Mexico State who played yesterday against a powerful College of Charleston team, falling 72-42. Taking on a fresher squad in Fresno State who has a game today and another tomorrow.
And you always wonder what that dynamic does when it's kind of that staggered schedule and one team has already played a game, and how does that factor in? And certainly a part of that has to do with what kind of style of game was it. It sounds like it was pretty physically taxing against Charleston, so we'll see how that affects New Mexico State here today, especially in the early minutes. Yeah,
New Mexico State choosing to use a lot of their depth in that game as College of Charleston jumped out to the lead early, used their pressure full court defense to really give the Aggies problems. At this point at 1-4, though, this is a team still trying to find itself under a veteran head coach who knows what it's like to win a championship. Jody Adams, who won a national championship as a player under Pat Summitt right here in New Orleans, actually, decades ago. And she's had success with the Aggies, including 18 wins last year, but a bit of a turnover for that roster. Fresno State won 19 games last year, but they have almost a completely different roster, too, under a brand new head coach in Ryan McCarthy, who was so good at Alaska Anchorage for 13 seasons, won 82% of his game. Well, that's why he brought 5 of those players with him here to a rebuilt roster for the Bulldogs.
And I think a key there as well is where in the hiring process, as far as timeline, do you get that head coach, into your system? Because obviously the earlier the better. You're able to bring those players with the transfer portal and, kind of this new age we're in college basketball as well. And certainly that's a benefit that he's able to be hired early enough in the process and to be able to bring some of his players over, like he talked about, to really keep that kind of continuity in place, just in a new facet.
The Bulldogs are 3-3 on the year. They won their first 3, but they're in the midst of a road swing, playing 2 more away from home. That'll make it 5 straight. Now 3-3 on the year, as mentioned, but they've played quality competition. And they are in the black jerseys as a designated road team for this one, while the Aggies of New Mexico State wearing the home whites after they were the designated road team yesterday. And we will see early on, Fresno State, just like College of Charleston, really good at forcing turnovers, nearly 23 a game, and that was a major issue yesterday for the Aggies. We'll see how they cope with the pressure defense as the opening tap is won by New Mexico State, and we are underway with Emma Cristiano, the junior point guard, handling the basketball first. And Monty Warren is one of the top 2 scorers on this New Mexico State team. Really good off the dribble, but under pressure here early on. We mentioned Fresno State with a defensive identity. Good catch at the high post and a chance to drive, and that was not there yesterday for Lucia Yanez, the 6-foot senior. She puts her team ahead early.
Good patience on that possession as well. And like you said, great ball handling to be able to deal with that high-pressure look that Fresno State threw at him early on.
Yanez averaging 15 points a game here early in the season, but held under 10 yesterday. Now it's Fresno State having the ball stripped away by Warren. Nicely done against Gamble. Now the other way, Warren not able to complete the lay-in. But quick hands by Warren, a pretty good defender, and she almost had her second steal here early.
Just active hands, and that was such a great read on what looked like it was initially going to be a shot attempt that wound up the strip there by Warren. And there you see, again, undercutting that pass and could have easily been back-to-back turnovers, and now an early sub here for Fresno State.
So Fresno State going to the bench and getting a look here for the first time at number 11. Ashlyn Reen, who is actually their leading scorer, started coming off the bench last game and shined in that role as they go down low, the high-low look, and a lay-in as Fresno State able to tie it up. The bucket by Hedda Caney, who is out of Germany, and another one of these connections from Alaska Anchorage. 5 on the roster, as mentioned in the pregame. So some experience in the system with a new head coach at Fresno State. And now we have a foul down low as Yanez getting the pass in short quarters. And first whistle of the game going against New Mexico State.
And we're seeing New Mexico State really just kind of loosening up that zone here of Fresno and just finding some passes, and there's some good backside cuts here that the Bulldogs are going to have to adjust to going forward.
Important to get to the middle of a zone in the half court if you can. That's been successful here early stages for the Aggies. Now Luce Rosing going right to, again, middle of the paint, open Yanez, but has her shot rejected. Able to fish it out of there is Rosing, and leading to an open jumper from three. Warren misses, and a chance perhaps for transition for Fresno State. And didn't work out as pretty as you'd like, but the loose ball picked up and scored down low as Fresno State able to take their first lead.
Looked like Warren tried to gamble on the steal there and just missed, and that really sprung forward a kind of a jerky transition opportunity.
And now able to come up with another turnover, Fresno State here with the 4-2 lead. Going with a high pick near the top of the key, and the jumper missed in the lane, though. A good look by Jason Gamble. Now New Mexico State again. They're willing to get up and down the floor, but I think they'd be more comfortable in this one in the half court, and feeding Yanez in particular, who's fouled on the entry pass. And that will go against Hedekuna.
Just a classic come from behind, just trying to force something, force the ball away, and just going through and creating the contact there.
So Kuna is subbed out of the ball game, and India Clark, the starter, returning. And right down low again. They're able to get these touches for Yanez. It's going to be a good day offensively for New Mexico State as she gets the layup down low. Not an answer early for the Bulldogs for Yanez. But no answer there for the drive and the lay-in. Clark making an impact after her early rest.
Good job taking Yanez off the dribble, and there was just nobody there on the backside to defend for New Mexico State. Clark,
the Wofford transfer, is from Alaska, although she didn't play for Anchorage. Now down low again, another great look in the paint. The lay-in missed by Ayanna Bay, and then a travel called on Bay after she recovered the loose rock.
Well, there again, I mean, even though it comes up an empty possession for New Mexico State, like you talked about, Jude, just setting the tone early on, they're able to get into the middle of the paint here, and that's something that they have enough of these good looks. They're going to keep themselves around throughout the entirety of this game.
3 of 5 shooting overall and getting the ball in the paint for 4 of them. Now Fresno State with Warren defending up top. The screen doesn't free up, but then the late roll to the bucket leads to a deflection. The hustle by Cristiano to knock it out of bounds.
It's a nice hustle there by Cristiano because she was screened off pretty hard, and that was a good recovery to be able to affect that pass and knock it away, and at least Fresno State force Fresno State to run a set play deep in the shot clock.
Smallest player on the floor, but very mobile, as you saw there. Now the spin to the left and the bucket scored by Amelia Long, the 5'9" graduate transfer. And then again, another one of those Alaska Anchorage players on this Bulldog roster. And that's got to be a charge on Warren, is a little bit out of control there. She will try to get downhill quickly on possessions. We saw that yesterday against College of Charleston.
Yeah, and she just used that offhand to really just kind of push off. She extended it a little bit, and the officials caught it straight away.
And credit Clark for stepping in there with the help and drawing the player control foul. 8-4 Fresno State here early as the Bulldogs have made 4 out of their last 5 shots from the floor. Here is Long at the point. He played JUCO for a couple of years before going to Cal Poly Humboldt. And an all-conference player and defender of the year as well at Alaska Anchorage last season. Does a little bit of everything. The 13-footer, a good look, wouldn't go. Clark a little short on that one. Now Cheney, the Hungarian who checked in during the last dead ball, feeding Bay on the baseline. Wide open, coming right down the middle. Easy lay-in for Rosen.
And what's the best way to offset a zone and that provides ball pressure at the top? Some of those quick passes. We're seeing very quick, crisp passes by New Mexico State. It's part of how they've been able to get the ball inside pretty successfully early on.
Meanwhile, whipping around the arc is Fresno State, patiently looking. Clark finds a seam, goes diagonal, but misses the lay-in try. Good move, but a little off target there with the angle at the end. Now the game plan's clear. Yanez at the high post this time, drawing extra attention, able to kick it out for the open 3. And the miss there by Cheney, but Rosing, another offensive rebound here early, and she lost it trying to flip it to Bay in the paint. And we get a frustrated timeout call from Ryan McCarthy and the Fresno State bench here with 5:10 to go in the opening quarter. And we'll take the break as well with the Bulldogs leading New Mexico State 8-6. Back at the Alario Center, Fresno State with the 2-point lead early. And despite that, we could hear from the Fresno bench, Ryan McCarthy wanted to see a little bit more on the defensive end of the floor from his Bulldogs.
Yeah, one of his first lines was, how about we worry about getting a stop? And obviously that's really going to the looks that New Mexico State has gotten early on here in this game.
Yeah, living in the paint early. Despite trailing, and they'll almost trailed by 4 as Clark missing another shot in the paint. Here comes Cristiano in transition. We see once again post-ups early in the possession. Bay was working down low at the moment. Now here's Rosing with the crossover. Stops, and before the shot, called for the travel. Lost the pivot foot there after contact.
It was a tough one, too, because, she did a good job of really creating space, used the offhand, and didn't make it an obvious push-off either. She was able to create some space, but like you said, just took an extra step after the gather.
And that's been the issue for New Mexico State here early in the season. Just too many turnovers, 5 so far in this first quarter. And you see different players still battling for their spots in the rotation at this point in late November. Fresno State up 2 with the basketball. India Clark to the wing. And the kick to the sideline deflected. See a concerted effort by the Aggies to try to cut off the lane here. Successfully so far as Clark double team finds a cutter and a foul call. Patience on that possession paid off for Fresno State.
And with 5 on the shot clock as well, just a nice little cut there on the right side of the lane, and Fresno State gets rewarded with free throw trips here.
So Clark will go to the line after the foul on Cheney. And interesting about the Wofford transfer is that she's somebody who's very experienced, playing 3 years at her previous school, and just starting to get going this season as the first shot is up and off target. 8 points at Santa Clara in that first start, so earning another opportunity today. I should say both free throws up and in. 10-6 the lead for Fresno State. Surprised we're not seeing full court pressure here early. A token look in the backcourt. And now across the timeline with it is Kira Hudson. The Australian had a season-high 6 points yesterday. Cheney. And keep an eye in the paint because a substitute of note for the Aggies out there working his shot clock to 8 now. Down to 3, and will they get a shot off? Hudson will beat the clock, but it'll be a shot clock violation. That was the defense that McCarthy was looking for from his Bulldogs.
It was, and I think it was a little bit of a let-off by New Mexico State because it was Dosu who had checked in, and she had posted up her defender. She had her really sealed off in the mid-post. There was an opportunity a little bit earlier in the shot clock to go to her. New Mexico State passed on that and really couldn't get a meaningful shot off afterwards.
Yeah, Dosu, who played well yesterday. Another player that could perhaps do some work in the paint today for the Aggies, who called the 32nd timeout here to discuss matters. They don't want this game to get away from them early like the one yesterday against an undefeated College of Charleston team. Turned out to be a 30-point margin in that contest. These two programs used to be together in what was the Western Athletic Conference under a new name now. Of course, now New Mexico State in that interesting collection of schools in Conference USA, and Fresno State now a longtime member of the Mountain West with a 16-6 advantage in the series between the two programs.
Also should be noted that Lucy Alario just checked back in for New Mexico State as well to give a little bit more length for the Aggies. But you talked about it. It's different now in college basketball with so much conference realignment and so much different movement. But there's still those schools that are very familiar with each other regardless of that. And
good to see rivalries as such renewed. Fresno State, though, has won 8 straight in this series. Looking for dribble penetration early that's been there sporadically. Clark passing it back. Here is Amelia Long off 1 foot, and we'll have dueling shot clock violation.
And that was great airtight defense there, collectively played by New Mexico State, and a great job to not foul at the end there against Long.
New Mexico State hasn't scored in over 4 minutes. Still hanging around down 4, though, as Dosu will get a touch on the low block, put it on the floor, and needed to pass it out. Again, the shot clock draining here. The drive by Hudson getting deep and not able to finish, but the long rebound will be chased down, and another look at it coming here as the Avion Wilson pulls up at the elbow. Again, Dosu available, but the pass right into the defender leading to the held ball.
Well, now you see a much more concerted effort after they missed Dosu on that possession a couple of possessions ago where they had the shot clock violation. Now they've been making a concerted effort to really try to collapse this defense and maybe pay a little bit more attention to Dosu, even though it hasn't worked out for points.
Yeah, the entry passes in the lane a little too easy for New Mexico State in the first few minutes of this ball game. Both teams having a cold spell here, perhaps broken by the open corner 3 that won't go. Dosu with the first rebound for her today after 14 in our first game of the Big Easy Classic yesterday. Hudson trying to find the angle, and it's deflected away and stolen. Tough pass there.
Yes, absolutely.
As Lara, the 6'3" target in the middle, tried to get her hands up on it, but the sea of black around her. Both teams with a defensive focus in the half court here, and we get a hand check foul called on the perimeter. Just as I say that, a little aggressive on the ball, the foul on the freshman Wilson.
And the line change now for New Mexico State. Just a completely new 5 here on the floor for the Aggies. Just looking for that spark offensively like we talked about, because they're getting the looks, but they're not getting the finishes right now.
Yeah, and they played a lot of people yesterday, did the Aggies, too, in part because they had a game today and in part because I think there's still a lot of competition here for minutes. Sonoy Jones is one to watch, the freshman post number 33, and she had a couple of buckets in the second half. Once again, the focus on cutting off the penetration around the paint. Fresno State trying to find a way in. The kick out to Clark, leading to the baseline jumper. Patience in the shot clock paying off that time. Jason Gamble knocking down about a 15-footer. Jones, her first touch. Trying to muscle her way up and in, high off the glass, and picked up by the Bulldogs. Definitely more intensity coming from Fresno State on defensive end as Clark's left open in transition for 3. The rebound by Warren, and she likes to take these coast to coast. She had 7 boards yesterday. And right idea, but off target in the middle for Jones.
Yeah, and it's just now for New Mexico State, it just seems a little bit more disjointed at this point. But credit Fresno State because their interior defense has just become so solid. And now they're making those looks more contested and just a little bit tougher as this quarter goes along.
Yeah, it's tough when you have these empty possessions, even when you're defending as well as the Aggies have done in this opening quarter. Another jumper, and again, Fresno State not able to knock it in, but Clark on the spot for the putback.
Most impressive thing about this Fresno State offense, like we talked about, is there's a foul underneath. They do not panic. They've gotten to so many late clock situations, and they still have been able to find the right pass and find some pretty good shots.
Let me correct that. That was Avery Watkins, who was a transfer from the University of Hawaii in her second year with Fresno State, able to come up with her second bucket there as Fresno State has scored 6 straight to extend to this 8-point lead. Just more active hands from the Bulldogs again as another deflection goes out of bounds.
Well, that was Long actually knocking it away from her own teammate because both Long and Campbell were there to easily undercut the pass.
Coaches don't mind those type of moments because the effort is what they're looking for, to be sure, as Dosu hands it to Warren. 30 seconds to go in the period. Warren finding space from the mid-range and another shot not falling for the Aggies, but hustled by Dosu gets them another opportunity. Yanez down low to Dosu and a foul on the catch underneath on the Bulldogs.
Well, the initial look, it was just a simple high screen, and coming off of that pretty effectively there was Warren. And again, just another good look that doesn't fall for New Mexico State.
The aforementioned Clark will come in for Watkins after a good shift. And with about a 2-second differential between shot and game clock, Aggies will work it in on the baseline if they can. Yanez quickly over to Rosing. And it's now working outside the lane so Dosu can go to work. Warren will lean in and bank it home. Good bucket off the drive for Imani Warren.
That's just showing off what you do in the weight room there from Warren, because that was just a physical move to create some space for herself and get herself a little bit closer for the easy score.
Foul to give there for New Mexico State, their 4th of the quarter, as Cristiano whistled for a first personal. Now last chance for the Bulldogs in the period, and deep penetration. Dosu may have gotten a piece of that one on the miss as Danae Powell tried to go coast to coast. So we're through one quarter here at the Alario Center, and for Fresno State trying to break a 3-game skid, and similarly for New Mexico State having dropped 3 straight. A little bit of desperation in this game and the effort showing. 14-8 the lead for the Bulldogs as we go to quarter number 2 after this timeout.
Time of the year, and we've gotten programs really from all over. And now for Fresno State, +6 in the first quarter. That's been their MO. +31, their point differential in the first quarter this year.
So off to a quality start. New Mexico State trying to come up with answers as Warren, again after the switch, will go off the bounce and get to the line. Recognized a defender she could get around, and again Warren at her best going downhill.
And rewarding herself with free throw trips, the team leader in free throw attempts, and there's a microcosm of why as she earns 2 here.
Yeah, Hedda Kuna did the best she could, the 6'2" senior, try to stay in front of her. But it is Warren at the stripe, who has 2 points in this one so far and gets the roll on the first of 2 today. Native of Milwaukee, In their last game before this event, Warren scored a career-high 20 points at San Diego and misses the second opportunity at the free throw line after drawing her team within 5. Quickly down the floor, a good look in transition, and that may be the MO a little bit more here, but Gamble missing from 15. Here is Warren going to work. The step through, and then had it deflected away out of bounds. And behind the play, we have an injury, and it's Dosu who's down and seems to be favoring her left shoulder. Didn't see what happened there behind the fast break opportunity.
Yeah, it was well behind the play, and we saw an injury in the first game. Thankfully, Brecken Snotherly was able to come back in for a high point. Didn't see, like you said, what happened. But just talking about that last possession from New Mexico State, and there was a great recovery by Rosing. Just noticed her, and she's done some of the little things well. It seems like somebody who's not going to do a lot that shows up on the stat sheet, but getting back and defending well and closing out very well and contesting that shot. As we see Dosu now is up and still clutching it around that left shoulder area. But that's some of the little things that she's done well to really spring that transition opportunity the other way.
Yeah, from the Netherlands and in her third year with the program, so she brings a lot of experience to the Aggies in that respect. Only returning starter from last year's team. And she did a little bit of everything yesterday. Only 4 points, but had 8 rebounds and a couple of steals against College of Charleston. And they were, like so many players, were able to limit her minutes a little bit, knowing this game was coming today after it got away from the Aggies early. Ayana Bay, the 6-foot junior, in now as the replacement. And a well-set play leading to the Yanez layup. You had Bay coming to the ball first. The defense responded, and the trailing cut was a beauty. And that's 6 points, 6 of the 11 for New Mexico State by Yanez. The turn at the high post, and Bay got a lot of ball, but called for the foul.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because, like you said, she did get a lot of ball, but I think she just got a little piece of the arm, and that was just enough to get some free throw trips here for Fresno State.
And Watkins has looked for opportunities to score the ball here early as she hits the first of 2 free throws. And that's been an issue for her so far this season. Now 7 of 14 from the line, but she looks like she's on her game today. Those were 2 right on target. The lead now 5 again for Fresno State.
Isn't it any time we bring that up, the opposite happens?
Oh, yeah, the announcers jinx, or in this case, boost. We never get credit for the boost. It's always called a jinx. Cristiano to the wing to Rosing. Clark fronting the post down there, and Rosing loses it going across the lane. Now a tie-up on the far sideline. And the arrow will go to Fresno State, but credit Warren for trying to stop the break early and getting her quick hands in there. I don't know. Be one of those situations where you just stop the ball one way or the other, but when you take chances in the backcourt, coaches will say you better be right. Danae Powell almost had it stripped away. And we have another tie ball. That time, Bay's hands getting in there cleanly and flipping the arrow her team's way. You know, that's the risk, and defenders are told this. If you're not going straight up and vertical, there's an instinct for the referee to call the foul. So you're taking a risk every time you do that.
And like you said, you've got to be right. And that time it was Rosing and Yanez who were both in there. And I think it was Yanez who actually got her hands on the ball to create the tie-up for New Mexico State.
The high-low Rosing over the shoulder and almost got the three-point play. That's a horse shot there, just knowing you've got the contact, and almost put it in the basket. Yanez getting the touches she wants in the paint here early in this first half so far.
That was about an early Christmas present, that it was a reward for obviously getting the contact, but why not flip it up and see what happens, and nearly a conversion and an N1.
First free throw up and in. Her 8 points yesterday, a team high, and again, she played well in just 16 minutes, keeping her fresh for this one. Started her college career at Mississippi Valley State before ending up at Butler Community College, and after the second one is off target, out of bounds, chance to keep it on this end for the Aggies.
Yeah, it was Rosing who got her hands initially on it, but then Clark deflected it last. So, like you said, Aggies retaining possession now to work with the baseline out of bounds.
Watkins with a well-earned rest here. Just over 8 minutes to go in the quarter, and a little too strong there. Warren on the baseline drive off the window. Then she tries to create havoc in the backcourt. Nothing doing, though. Her teammates back in transition for the moment. Whipped around the arc. Crisper ball movement on the perimeter for Fresno State. And the high screen is an illegal one moving, and that an obvious call there as Clark was leaning into the defender.
Yeah, initially was in legal position, but then just kept moving along with that screen.
Yanez showing off her ability to handle the ball against pressure. And the tight pass down low. Too many hands from Fresno State there, and the hustle for the pickup there by Gamble on the floor. Actually, correct that. It was Powell who came up with the turnover for Fresno State. Gamble kicking behind her. And a nice Euro into the paint and an open shot from 12. Ava Marr, the freshman.
Yeah, she got Yanez up in the air and then just a little crafty little sidestep like you talked about to get herself some space and still got that good look at the bucket.
5'10" out of Briar, Washington, getting her feet wet on this level. And once again, getting it down deep in the paint. This time, Bay able to lay it up and in for New Mexico State.
And there was Warren creating with a nice high-low as well. And they respect her driving ability so much, and she was able to find Bay down in the low block.
The out-of-control scoop there in the paint. Another chance at it after the long miss. She'll get a high screen and pull up from 17. And short on the jumper, but we have an Aggie on the floor and a loose ball foul. Looks like it'll be on Clark.
I think they called it, yep, Cristiano.
Okay, so that call will, and Cristiano's got the look of, who, me? On her face out there, hands behind her head.
Yeah, because she was actually in position ahead of Clark. It was Clark who was reaching over her. I guess they got her for a hook, even though she had position on Clark.
She's hit for her second foul. And she'll stay out there for the moment with 6:26 to go in the period. Jaura Sissoko checking in during the dead ball for Fresno State. And after the missed jumper, another look at it with the second chance opportunity. Here is Sissoko. Leaning in and not able to convert there. Rosing did a nice job and came up with the clearance as well.
A good one-on-one defense and then crashing in for the board there for Rosing. And it should be noted, by the way, as well, Dosu was being worked on, and now she is returned back to the bench for now.
That's good to see, as, again, she provides the ability to rebound, and another post option for New Mexico State, who's working the ball inside frequently. Yanez decided to go up with it during the catch. Bay, the rebound off the miss. Cheney, lefty drive, flips it up and short. Maybe not the best decision there as Clark defended well.
I think it was a bit of a wild one, looking for contact that never came.
And we didn't see the call there. Look like an offensive foul, and it was.
The far side official did catch it,
Okay, so.
It's Cristiano, who was, I think, going to be beside herself if the foul was going to be called on her.
When you're 6'3" like that, the smallest player on the floor most of the time, you got to be willing to take the bumps, and she was there. Might have gotten a shot across the chin, but she'll stay on the floor as their team's still hanging around down by 4. Despite some shooting woes, because for Fresno State, the shooting has been painful in this quarter, just 1 of 6. But the Aggies with a turnover and Sissoko and company with a 3-on-2 break for the moment. It's the trailer getting a bomb for 3, and it's Ava Marr who's hit a 3 in every game so far this year, showing you why.
Not a ton of, not really a volume three-point shooting team, except for Marr, who leads this team in three-point attempts by a good margin.
And opening the account from downtown after 4 misses, and now the pressure on the ball for Fresno State, causing another New Mexico State turnover. And it looks like New Mexico State wants a timeout as They're facing their biggest deficit of this first half at 21-14, 5:07 to go, and we'll take the break as well here from the 2025 Big Easy Classic. So the lead up to 7 for the Bulldogs of Fresno State here over the Aggies of New Mexico State. And Emmanuel, you could see that after that early timeout from the Fresno State bench, the defensive intensity is ramped up quite a bit, and it's 13 turnovers and counting forced by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, it's been a lot of active hands. It's been really collapsing the defense and focusing on making those shots tougher on the inside for New Mexico State. But even through that, the Aggies still have gotten a couple of good looks. I think Coach McCarthy would like for them to clean up going forward.
Yeah, they've held the Bulldogs at 29% shooting so far as Sissoko retreats on the dribble. Reset here for Powell. Now Clark draws the defense in the lane. Sissoko, the rainbow three off target. And I'm sure New Mexico State will be happy to see most of the Bulldogs settle for looks like that. Chance to slow it up in transition, and the freshman Wilson finding her steady point guard.
Yeah, Fresno State just a shade over 30% from three-point range. So certainly you'll take that for New Mexico State if those are the kind of looks they're getting.
Rosing coming back towards the top of the key. Here is Yanez. Trying to find the angle, fades away, and would have been a shot clock violation. Instead, Sissoko able to outlet it for the easy lay-in. First really easy-looking transition bucket there is Jasa Gamble ahead of the pack for the lay-in.
And that was Chavez on the other end, providing great defense. Didn't provide Yanez an option as she was deep in the clock, and that started up that transition opportunity, that one-on-one defense for Chavez, who hasn't played a lot this year.
The native of Monterrey, Mexico, doing a nice job and making an impact immediately as Yanez a little upset and maybe winded there after missing down low on the layup try. Chance for Fresno State to get their first double-digit lead in the open three off back iron. Rosing, who continues to do two-way work, outletting. And now Wilson trying to size up her defender. Runs into the help D and misses, but there's Yanez with the hustle rebound. Rosing. Over the top to Yanez, and a good recovery there. Active by Sissoko on the ball and drifting with the cutter down low.
Absolutely. I mean, the high-low action was there initially, but Sissoko was able to take it away very, very quickly. And that's just, you don't have a lot of margin for movement against this Fresno State defense because they recover so well to the ball.
Chavez and Powell sitting down for Fresno State as Wilson gets a good look from 10 on the pull-up. Not able to convert. Sissoko will slow things up and allow Amelia Long, the native of Port Angeles, Washington. And now just dribbled off a foot there in traffic, the turnover by Gamble.
Well, that was a great, just solid, hard screen set by Clark, and it freed up maybe some action, but Fresno State not able to capitalize there.
Warren trying to organize her troops as Fresno State. Again, trying to keep them out of the paint. With Dosu in there, Warren across the lane, the scoop lay-in. That's Warren at her best.
We use the term slasher a lot, and she's just got confident handles and very strong dribble drive to the goal.
And a response right away, Amelia Long with the pivot and turnaround jumper. So Long now with 2 made field goals and 4 points in the game. Wilson looking for movement off the ball. Dosu back in there after banging her shoulder earlier. Looking for the pass in the lane. Wilson opts to go to the corner to Warren, who keeps her dribble. Free throw line for the dump down and the lay-in. Good decision. She had the open shot, but got a layup for her teammate instead.
What do we hear all the time from coaches? Passing up a good shot for a great shot, and that was Warren to a T right there, finding Dosu for the easy layup.
Maureen Dosu. Good to see her back out there, and a much-needed couple buckets lately for New Mexico State. Fresno with the 7-point advantage. Dosu with the cutoff. Down to 7 to shoot off the screen. The 3 is launched, and again, that's a win for the Aggies, but they can't secure the rebound, and Dosu going over the back for the foul.
Yeah, that was just a tumble to the floor there, as that was Gamble who actually got inside position there in Dosu, and that almost amounted to a tackle at that point.
It's tough in the paint in Division I college basketball.
Yes.
Dosu's taken a couple of spills here in the first half. After the 3rd team foul of the quarter by the Aggies, the turnaround won't go for Gamble. And this time, it'll be New Mexico State ball.
They call it tie-up.
Oh, they call a tie-up here.
Rebound. Yep.
Okay, so the arrow pointing the way of the Bulldogs. Right back it goes to Clark. And she has it stripped away. Warren lurking on the backside. Has to slow it up in transition. Now we'll go deep baseline. And forced to take a tough angle. She chases it down in the corner. New Mexico State in the final minute of this half, trying to draw a little closer. Warren out of control, able to scoop it up off the floor. Dosu the drive, able to stop and then pop for the lay-in.
2 subtle little pump fakes as well from Dosu. That was very crafty on that baseline drive, using the pump fake to her advantage.
Showing her face-up game, and now a deep look there and a miss by Long. They were trying for a 2-for-1 opportunity there with the 5-point lead. Warren, the dump down. Bay gets it back. Decides not to shoot. Dosu in the paint will pass it out as well. Cristiano will pull up on the jumper. No. Nobody decisive there with chances to shoot the basketball in the paint. Now it's Sissoko the other way. Play on, say the officials. 10 seconds to go. No holding for the last shot here. Wilson to Cristiano. The pull-up on the baseline won't go. Bay, one last shot at it, and able to beat the buzzer. A flurry late in the half by New Mexico State as we got frantic in the final minute before halftime here.
I mean, both teams were kind of picking their spots to run, but that was mostly a methodical first half until the very end. Like you said, it was just like a shootout at the OK Corral. And New Mexico State, nice job by Bay, positioning herself on the backside and then using the window as a friend. By the way, and Dosu is still kind of clutching at that left shoulder area as she's walking off the floor. So still obviously bothered by the injuries she picked up. Hopefully she's able to continue on further in this game.
Yeah, sometimes the 15 minutes are good in these situations, sometimes not. We'll keep an eye on that early in quarter number 3. But what was a 9-point lead for Fresno State has been cut to 3 by New Mexico State here at the half. So poised for a good second 20 minutes here at the Alario Center. Fresno State 25, New Mexico State 22 in game number 3 of 5 in this 2025 Big Easy Classic. Back after the half to get you ready for quarter number 3 here from the Alario Center. With our highly professional producer, Matt Merritt, back with us here. We're able to go on the air, Jude Young and Emmanuel Peppis. In a 3-point ball game as we await the start of the third quarter. Both of these teams an identical 10 of 31 from the field in the first half and a combined 1 of 10 from three-point range. But you can credit New Mexico State with a good finish to the second quarter to get back in range against Fresno State, and the balanced scoring for Fresno State features Avery Watkins leading the way with 6 points. And for the Aggies, 7 points from Lucia Yanez, who was active early and late in the half.
She was, and you know, it goes to, as you look at this box score, Jude, and there are certainly some things that favor Fresno State, and some of the looks that they were able to get, especially in transition and how they were able to turn over New Mexico State. But you flip it on the other side, in New Mexico State, we made note of their looks, especially in the half court, but also on second chance opportunities. They are getting a ton of those right now. 12 offensive rebounds to just 5 for Fresno State. But I'm sure they'd like to look at the conversion rate being a lot better because they've only gotten 8 points, 8 second chance points off those 12 offensive boards so far, despite holding such a distinct advantage on the glass.
And New Mexico State living in the lane. They've got 20 of their 22 points in the paint so far, 16 for Fresno State. The turnovers, as referenced several times here, that slowed down for the Aggies in the second part of the second quarter. They did have 13 in the opening half to just 6 for Fresno State, but that's going to be a key. If you're New Mexico State at this point, you simply aren't going to be able to get away from this game with a victory if you keep turning over the ball. And Fresno State, after a slow start on that respect, really defended well for a while to build what was a 9-point lead.
I think what you talk about with New Mexico State, you know, is for Coach Adams, look, we're getting some of the looks. You just got to be able to, and I know it's an old saying, but you got to be able to finish those looks because the Aggies have been able to really gain a lot of good looks so far throughout that first half. And yeah, like you said, for Fresno State, just being able to continue to apply the ball pressure, they're going to have some transition opportunities that come with that. Even though the Aggies have done a pretty good job, even on those turnovers, of getting back in transition and stopping a lot of those fast break opportunities, the Bulldogs only have 4 fast break points, which is very small when you consider the 13 turnovers that New Mexico State has had so far in this game.
Another reason why New Mexico State has hung around a big rebounding edge, 27-15, including 12-5 on the offensive glass and 6 more second chance points. So the key simply for New Mexico State, get shots up because you're either getting a chance to score there and you're getting other opportunities via the second chance.
Right, and you know, we saw Bay just use the glass really as a friend, and if that's what it comes down to for the Aggies going forward in this second half, just being able to use the backboard on some of those shots from in close because, like you said, those looks haven't really gone away those first 20 minutes.
New Mexico State will have the rock first to start the second half as Warren at the point, and Fresno State sticking with the man-to-man look, and once again Warren getting a little sloppy with the basketball, turning it over.
Well, it was good help defense as well from Fresno State as Long got in there as well. There were 2 Bulldogs right on her back that helped force that turnover also.
Now we see a half-court trap coming out of the locker room for New Mexico State, but the brilliant pass leads to the lay-in. Long didn't panic. She found Gamble.
You saw Long do kind of a little flex motion there because that was very strong. She found that tiny sliver of space between those 2 Aggies that were trying to trap her.
Now a pass over the top, and a risky one leads to another turnover for the Aggies here early. And a transition opportunity cut off this time for Fresno State. But the defense, again, a key for Fresno State. They really ride that as they force 15 turnovers now in the contest. Gamble and now Long. Long eschews the screen, tries to back down the shorter Cristiano. Leads to the open pass at the free throw line, and nothing for net. But net for Avery Watkins, now with a game-high 8 points.
And that was Yanez just came in and tried to get the strip with the help defenses. Now we got another turnover
Long,
here in the backcourt.
Yeah, picking the pocket of Cristiano. Long gets it back over the shoulder from Watkins. And we'll pass it out. Fresno State now back up to the 7-point lead. Could match or surpass their biggest of the game, but Cristiano able to block the shot before it could leave the hand of Powell. And now some discussion here. Fresno State's bench thought it was last touched by the Aggies and Cristiano.
Yeah, I think Powell was maybe a little bit surprised at the call, but I think she did just come back down with some contact on the ball before it went out of bounds.
So on the dead ball, Bulldogs will set up some full court pressure. with a 29-22 lead, scoring the first 4 points of the second half. Trapping on the sideline this time, Warren. Yanez finding an open teammate and a foul called on the drive by Lara. Lara's not had many touches in this game, and for a 6'3" post, she gets one on the wing and has to put it on the deck to get to the stripe.
Nice job there getting through the trap by Warren and just getting some passes around to the backside where there was nobody there, and Clark just late rotating over picks up the foul call.
Ball movement key when you're dealing with trapping pressure, as the first free throw missed by Lara. Leading rebounder for the Aggies at 5.8 per game and making her third start of the year today. Second one off target as well, as Lara had only one of 5 now at the line coming in, now 1 of 7 as you mentioned, yeah. So those opportunities go by, and Fresno State looking to keep the run going. Rosing fighting around the handoff, and a double dribble called on the baseline.
Yeah, that was an easy catch by the officials there, as Powell dribbled once and then just collected and put it back on the floor again. Just got a little bit antsy there.
Not surprised to see this move, as it was College of Charleston yesterday going with consistent full court pressure to take the Aggies out of their half-court attack and created a slew of turnovers. Warren, though, cutting through the defense, and Yanez the easy lay-in on the dime.
And everybody got caught ball watching there, and nobody saw Yanez just really slipping to the backside in the right block and making herself an option there for Warren.
Attacking pressure is important. It can lead to good looks. And how about a good look from 3 is Watkins having an excellent game today. Hits her first long ball and make it 11 for the veteran Aggie.
That's only her second attempt of the season and her first make of the season as well for Watkins. So they get a little bit of surprise. That certainly wasn't on the scout for the Aggies coming in, but big conversion there.
Her game high on the year had been 8 points in a couple of contests. And that near and over and back, but the deflection called before Warren re-secured it. Trying to cut through the right-hand side of the D and takes the extra step.
Yeah, there was a deflection, but I think when Warren caught it, her foot was still kind of halfway over the half-court line after she had collected, and I think that's what they were kind of looking for Fresno State.
Right, and one of the officials explaining that to Fresno State head coach Ryan McCarthy, how she saw it. Either way, it works out, the Bulldogs with the ball. A chance to face their first double-digit lead as the 3 ball has become part of the equation. Powell, the right wing bomb. First bucket of the game for Powell.
Very efficient as Powell with the 3-point attempts this season. Now 6 of 11.
And on that drive, not able to find the angle, Lara. Fresno State looking for more. Long, though, did double dribble the basketball.
Seems like when Fresno State is looking to run just in moments this year is a good sign that we see Dosu back out there battling that shoulder issue. They've just been a little bit disjointed. Nothing seems to be in rhythm when they try to run here, at least in the first few minutes of the second half.
But things going well as they have outscored the Aggies 10-2 in the period so far, forcing 4 turnovers in that stretch. Now, if you're New Mexico State, you'd like to be able to get back into your half-court offense and try to look inside. It's been so effective for them at times. Rosing between the circles, around the screen. Warren. And now Rosing again, working together, leads to the open corner shot. That's an air ball. Shot clock down to 5. It didn't reset. Yanez, Rosing realizes it, misses the long jumper. And a loose ball foul will go on Yanez to boot.
It's a good little 2-man game there at the outset of that possession. It's just Warren is not really a shooter. She's only attempted 4 3-pointers this season. That's not really a part of her game.
Right, 35 shot attempts today for New Mexico State, just 3 so far from beyond the arc. Powell directing traffic, given space to work with, gets it back and will shoot the 3 on the catch and hits another Fresno State bomb. Well, in the first half, they couldn't find the range. They hit 1. They're 3 for 3 since then. Now down low, the dump down by Warren. Nicely done. Again, Warren trying to attack quickly, and it pays off.
Well, you see New Mexico State, they're playing a zone, but really they're collapsing everybody. They're sending so many everybody's so far off the three-point line, and the Bulldogs now seeing it, and they're getting it to a couple of their shooters who have been able to convert so far to open up this game now.
So Yanez with the layup a moment ago, providing the offense here with 11 for the Aggies, but Fresno State enjoying the 12-point lead and able to hit from outside. The run doesn't keep going. The Watkins miss, but the backside board, another chance at it for the Bulldogs. Marr with the rebound. Now the ball in the post, and Yanez able to strip it away. Finds Gamble. Again, no reset on the shot clock, down to 6. Gamble down low. The power dribble and the foul called as Watkins went up against 2 Aggies down low.
Yeah, and it was Dosu who actually got her from behind. Tried to pump the brakes, but just kind of continued through with enough contact to get free throw trips here for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Watkins has really stepped up today. Spent 2 seasons at Hawaii and an injury redshirt included there, then played in 20 games last year, so one of the experienced players on the roster that doesn't have many. And off target on the first free throw here after making 2 earlier. Providing some inside scoring punch, which they needed in the first half before these 3 trays have fallen for them in the third quarter. Now it's Wilson. We'll try to handle the point with Warren getting a breather at the midway point of this third quarter. Rosing, the steady hand. Out of the trap. Yanez, the elbow jumper now. Kept alive momentarily by the Aggies, but out of bounds to the Bulldogs. And we will take a break here with 4:54 to go in the period. Fresno State out of the locker room. 5 of 7 shooting, creating havoc defensively and enjoying the 13-point lead here at the Big Easy Classic. The lead a baker's dozen for the Bulldogs. So one of these teams is going to snap a 3-game skid this afternoon in the Alario Center. And it'll be the Aggies in Mexico State now trying to apply some pressure in the backcourt as the Bulldogs will work it in. Watkins, the star scorer so far, alleviates the pressure easily. Long around the pick. Bit of a mishatch here for Dosu trying to guard the lead guard for the Bulldogs, who tries to find a way in. Passes to the corner with 5 to shoot. Watkins needs to do something, and it's eventually stolen away. Wilson, the quick hands in the corner.
It felt like Fresno State just wasn't aggressive enough when they got that switch early on in that possession.
Rosing, top of the key, Yanez tried the tough pass off the bounce and threw it away. Kuna on the spot down low. An open 3 in the corner, and the bombs are dropping for the Bulldogs here in the third. Powell from downtown.
Well, we've seen Fresno State when New Mexico State is running in transition. Now they're starting to improve on that in this second half as we got another steal and a telegraph pass into a lot of traffic.
Kuna, a second straight steal. The breakout for Long, and 1 for Fresno State. Defense creating offense again. Danae Powell with 3 trays here in the contest. And boy, Fresno State has opened it up from downtown, 4 of 5 from deep. Everything clicking for the ladies in black.
And that was Wilson who got called for the foul there in transition, trying to get back and defend, but certainly a much better third quarter from an execution standpoint on both ends of the floor, because we talked about those looks that New Mexico State had. They're not really there because they are clogging the lane so well.
Adjustments in both strategy and intensity showing for Fresno State, as they're on now a 16-2 run over the last 4 minutes, blowing open this game in the second of the doubleheader today on Black Friday. Now Warren back at the point. New Mexico State trying to get their footing back in this contest. They go to Dosu at the high post. Down low to Rosing, wide open.
And that's just like we talked about at the early part of the game. You get it into the middle of the zone, and you have the opportunity for a baseline cut, and that's where Rosing was, and a nice find by Dosu.
Fresno State has opened up the half-court game via the 3-ball. And you see Cheney and company trying to force the offensive set out a little further beyond the arc, putting more pressure on the ball than they were. Long traveled with the basketball with the fake to her right, shuffled her feet before putting it on the deck. And only had 3 to shoot anyway.
Yeah, and that was not enough time because they had a switch underneath on the back side of that, but there was not going to be enough time to get to that.
Warren drawing extra attention. Rosing, Cristiano, now Cheney. Forcing it inside to Dosu. Strong hands to avoid the tie-up, and the reach-in foul is called.
Yeah, just Dosu has just such broad shoulders and such good upper body strength, and she put that on display there to really get the foul call out of what it could have easily been a tie-up instead.
Kuna, who made her mark as a defender at Alaska Anchorage, again, one of 5 transfers with their head coach into this program. Had a couple steals there and made a bit of an impact before getting a rest. Now it's a wide open 3, and I tell you what, Luce Rosing, she seems to be the glue player for this team. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, and they're, providing some offense and a little bit of a spark for New Mexico State as they try to climb their way back into this one.
Finally making a 3, the first converted for the Aggies here. The save on the baseline leads to a breakout. Warren getting it from Cristiano. Thinks better of it and finding the trailing Dosu. The layup won't go. Saved as well for the Bulldogs. Good footing by Clark, and then the charge call. Sometimes you don't get that call, but Cheney said to be in position.
Yep, Cheney got into position perfectly and just really made sure that call was coming, but it was Long who went through her there. But New Mexico State, again, just not capitalizing on that opportunity. Dosu pump faked, and she didn't really need to. She had open position underneath.
Well, when your opponent's shooting 70% in the quarter and 80% from 3, you can't miss the bunnies down low. Cheney almost overshot Cristiano, able to save it in front of her own bench. Shot clock draining again, now loose on the floor, picked up by Long. She'll lob it up ahead for the lay-in that won't go, but Gamble will go to the strike.
Nice job by Gamble, really forcing the issue there against Rosing and earning free throw trips here.
That's number 20 in the turnover category for New Mexico State. Is Fresno State here, just really aggressive around the ball coming out of the locker room. Gamble missing the foul shot. I want to point out what Long has done as the lead guard for this team. Nearly had her 7th assist there to go along with 7 points so far. That's led to better shots, although the outside shooting really opens up other things. Dosu sharing, Rosing from 13, no. Last touched by the Aggies.
Yeah, that was Dosu who knocked it away. She was frustrated there. And again, just the frustration building up because New Mexico State now starting to get back to what worked in the first half and getting it in the middle of the zone, but still not able to score consistently enough.
And in the third quarter, the offensive rebound well is run dry for New Mexico State as well. Powell. She's proven she can hit from out there. That'll be a long 2 rattled in.
I think this was just a little bit of miscommunication whether they were going to switch or not between Dosu and Rosing, as we got a layup on the other side, and that created the space.
Well, Warren is always a threat even after a make in transition, now has 7 points. That's when she's at her best. And how about the power on the drive? And 1 for Danae Powell.
Well, just when you think that she's going to spot up and shoot right against this zone, she puts the ball on the floor and just power dribbles to the rack and gets the harm in the contact from Cristiano.
When you're proving to be such a threat from outside, as Cristiano called for her 3rd foul, that means you get those aggressive closeouts, and that opens up the dribble drive game. She's showing it all here in the quarter, but misses a 2nd straight free throw. Still the lead is 17. Call it 14 as Cheney from deep drains the long ball.
Well, Cheney just made a business decision there because there were 4 Bulldogs who got back very well to stop that transition opportunity. And Cheney said, you know what, I still have space, I'm going to pull.
2nd 3 of the quarter for the Aggies now from the turnaround low post, the miss by Gamble. Cristiano up to Warren. Warren finds an open shooter. It's Rosing, another. Make it a long 2, the indication. But a couple jumpers now falling for the Aggies as they rally back to within 12. Final seconds of this quarter. Long setting up the 2 screeners. Doesn't use them, but will kick to the corner to beat the buzzer, an air ball. And that'll do it in the 3rd quarter. But for Fresno State, 25 points in the period, outscoring the Aggies by 9 and building a double-digit lead as we go to the 4th here in the Big Easy Classic. After this timeout, brought to you by CrescentCitySports.com. Fresno State with the ball in a 12-point lead starting this 4th quarter. After shooting 64% from the field in the 3rd. So open, Watkins didn't know what to do with the basketball and traveled with it. Sometimes you're so open and you're not ready to shoot, you freeze, and that's what happened there.
Yeah, she was caught completely by surprise. But we talked about it. Watkins, not a 3-point shooter, so they're going to let her have that space. But like you said, it was just so much space, and she didn't know what to do with it after that.
Well, she saw the threes dropping for her teammates in the 3rd. Momentary thought to try to get in on the action. Cheney out of the trap. Around to Warren. Down on the baseline. Strong hands by Dosu to pass it out, and Cheney misses the 3 that time. There's Rosing with the hustle rebound. Another chance at it for the Aggies. Warren. The dump down, the pump fake by Dosu puts it in.
Great patience, and it was Rosing actually calling for the ball back in the corner, but a nice job by Warren to collapse the defense and find Dosu underneath.
Warren creating off the dribble that time. Plenty of hands reaching inside. Didn't have a plan after pulling up on the dribble, and Clark is tied up with the arrow pointing to New Mexico State.
There were 3 Aggies that absolutely surrounded her, and it was Warren who wound up getting her hands in underneath. And that's a familiar refrain, certainly, for what we've talked about, the kind of player she is.
A couple of he who hesitates is lost, or she in this case, turnovers in a row for Fresno State as Warren came up with her 3rd steal. She has it now on the left wing. 2 defenders coming. She drives in the end, a little short on the layup and out of bounds to Fresno State.
It's good help defense rotating over there, and that was for Fresno State. Yeah, it was Kunna who was there in the help.
And the native of Germany doing a nice job again defensively around the lane as another bomb is dropped by guess who? Danae Powell. It is her second half, to be sure. 15 points to lead all scores. Now Dosu on the short porch. Nothing doing, handing back to Warren. Kind of forced to the sideline by this aggressive Fresno State defense, and it leads to another Aggie turnover.
Well, what we saw from Macy Spencer in the first game today, where she hit 8 threes in the first half, and now we're seeing it in the second half, like you mentioned, with Danae Powell, that has really opened up this game and put so much more pressure on the Aggies to try to respond.
Last jumper for Powell called a 2. She's 6 of 9 from the floor overall, 3 of 4 from deep, and gets another look and nothing but nylon. Danae Powell on a heater here on Black Friday. A cool day in New Orleans, but the Fresno outside shooting red hot in the second half.
Just simple action up top there and wide open space for Powell.
And comparatively, a New Mexico State team that only shoots 20% from 3, passing up some open looks. The baseline jumper won't go for Cristiano. Long able to keep her dribble on her knees and outlet it to Powell. And Fresno State looking to get her opportunities. Long has done a nice job quarterbacking her team out there. The miss down low, though, by Kuna.
They were looking for a foul as well underneath. Didn't get the call on the contact.
Rosing. Warren, and now a good entry pass. Chance for the muscle up there by Dosu. Well defended in the paint by Fresno State, but out of bounds to New Mexico State.
I'll say this, the officials are letting them play through some contact here that's happened really on both ends. It's gotten pretty physical here at some points of this contest.
Yeah, maybe not one favoring the Aggies here, who've only been to the free throw line 6 times today. They're 2 of 6, 7 of 10, by the way, for Fresno State. Long will get a rest here at the 6:59 mark for the Bulldogs with the 15-point advantage. Cheney on the baseline. Now Warren. A risky pass cross courts knocked away out of bounds. Quick hands by Ava Marr.
And that was almost telegraphed there. And Marr just with the great read and able to knock it away and just force New Mexico State to do something a little bit quicker here as they were a little bit more than halfway through the shot clock.
Cristiano looking, finding Yanez, who hasn't touched the ball a lot in the second half. Warren with 3 defenders around her, leaning in and missing. A save by the Bulldogs and picked up in traffic. Gamble up ahead. Around the arc it goes. An open 3 is an air ball this time. But Kuna with the rebound, and then that could have been a tie ball. We'll keep playing. Kuna gets up, gets it back. Hustling up off the deck. Guess who? Powell for 3, and that time the quick release a little short.
Great hustle by Kuna on both ends of the floor. She had the cutoff on the baseline to stop the drive of Warren on that end, and then able to create that extra shot that winds up an air ball.
So if you're New Mexico State, if you're going to get back into this game, you're running out of time nearing the 6-minute mark. Going for the 3, the miss by Cheney. And not the Aggies' game. Gamble. Marr and now Powell. Patience around the perimeter for the Bulldogs. Offense a little different without Long out there. Kuna. Here is Gamble downhill, scoops and scores.
She saw the ability to turn the corner there, and there was nobody on the backside underneath the bucket. Now a timeout's going to be called here.
9 points for Gamble. The lead back up to 17 for Fresno State. Their biggest has been 19 as we take the break as well from the Alario Center. Bulldogs up with a 17-point advantage, looking to break a 3-game skid at the Big Easy Classic. Jude Young and Emmanuel Peppas with you, with Fresno State trying to put this one away in the fourth quarter. New Mexico State looking to battle back as Cristiano and Cheney with it on the perimeter. That extended Fresno State defense has made a difference here in the second half. Cheney, the cross-court catch. Yanez throws it away. Had Rosing briefly, but she cut across the lane, and the turnovers, again, a problem. Make it 22 for New Mexico State. Fresno State forcing nearly 23 a game, so right on script if you're the Bulldogs. Triple team pass out. Long from downtown. Amelia Long joins the long-range party for Fresno State.
And that was just an overcommit. Like you said, there were 3 Aggies there. Nice job to find the kick-out pass for the 3.
The move by Bay was good. The finish not there on the reverse. The lead 20 for the Bulldogs, and no need to hurry with just 4:33 and counting. And their patience in the half court has paid off as Yanez, aggressive on the ball, called for the bump on the floor.
Yeah, she was really getting her hands in tight. She was in basically pressing there against the ball handler as it takes us to immediate timeout, and guilty of the bump there.
You said letting them play. That's the first foul called in this quarter as we take another break with 4:27 to go. And the lead 20 for the Bulldogs here at the Big Easy Classic. The lead doubled over the last 4 minutes for Fresno State on a 10-0 run. And the Bulldogs with the basketball as the Aggies have missed their last 6 from the field. A risky pass there on the cut down low leads to a steal for New Mexico State. Rosing and Cristiano. Now Cheney, again trying to get it inside to Yanez, stripped away on the sideline with 15 to shoot. And we see Nikki Stanek.
It's the first time we've seen her today.
Yeah, she hasn't played here. She got some minutes in both halves yesterday for the Aggies. And Long called for the foul.
Well, there's the broadcaster jinx sinking in now because we got the fouls coming.
And, you know, some of that is both coaches are saying, where are the whistles?
Yep.
Be careful what you wish for sometimes, right?
That's right.
Cristiano. Good pass to Yanez. Will go over the top to Bay. The high-low is a beauty.
Those are the kind of looks that they haven't gotten enough of here in the second half, but a nice conversion on that opportunity.
Now Long tries to get it right back, and she does, beating Cristiano on the bounce. Fresno State now at just 2 of 9 shooting in the quarter, or actually 5 of 9 shooting to 2 of 9 for New Mexico State, who loses it again on the baseline. You know what's been the difference here, Emmanuel, is when Fresno State's been able to force in the half court New Mexico State to one side, things have tended to work out in their favor. Middle of the floor, New Mexico State has had good looks, as that time Long with a pass too long.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about kind of meaningful passes against the zone. It just feels like there's a lot of probing, but there haven't been a lot of answers, in part because of this Fresno State defense, like you said, that have upped the tempo and upped the aggressiveness defensively.
Extended around the arc, active hands. There's a poke away by Long as Cristiano lets it go out of bounds. Danae Powell back out there, the star scorer of this game, with 18 so far. Deflection gets there. Yanez then tries the hip pass, and a reach-in foul called on Fresno State down low.
And they're going to get Clark on that one, who looked a little bit surprised by the call that time.
Cristiano again to trigger. Finds the cutting open teammate Yanez, who able to finally get back on the board here. 13 points in the contest. And if I were the Aggies, I'd look to get the ball to Yanez as much as possible in the paint. Try to start what you do from there. Clark poked away. Here is Watkins, who was the key scorer in the first half for the Bulldogs, losing it on the floor.
And that was Yanez once again. Very active in disrupting that position and causing the steal.
Stanek driving. Maybe not what she intended, but finds the right hands a teammate, Bay, with the lay-in. Bay now with 8 in the contest. A little closer for the Aggies, but time running out.
Yanez gambled on the steal, missed. Fresno State, though, just content to squeeze a little bit of air out of the ball at this point.
With the 2-minute mark approaching. Powell into the corner. And that shot from 10 won't go. Tough look for Clark. Aggies have to hurry. Rosing trapped in the corner. Now Yanez, a miscommunication there as she tried to shovel it to Bay.
Of course, New Mexico State having to really push the tempo even more than they're comfortable with offensively, and that creates another turnover there off a bit of an unforced error that time.
Long with space to work with. Against the forward Bay and no contest, Amelia Long banks it home.
Playing to her last name because she's pretty deceptively lengthy as well, and she's shown that on a couple of different occasions. As we have an errant pass, it's going to be an over and back here.
And Long has been a menace for Cristiano to deal with in the battle of point guards. Cristiano scoreless in this one. Long, 14 points and 7 assists.
Just doing it, like you said, as a scorer and as a facilitator as well. As this Fresno State offense, certainly some things to work on going forward, but they'll be more happy certainly with this second half performance overall.
Chance to wrap up a 5-game road swing with a couple of wins here in the New Orleans area as they face the winless Louisiana Raging Cajuns tomorrow to wrap up this event. Fresno State about to be done here at 0-2. Marr doesn't connect there with Watkins. But 60% shooting here in the second half for Fresno State to create some breathing room after holding just a 25-22 lead at halftime.
Yeah, and it was all there for New Mexico State, and certainly the game was played from a score and tempo perspective, really overall to their liking, but not able to capitalize on some of those opportunities early when they had them. A big improvement from this Bulldogs defense in the second half.
Bay to the cutting Rosing. Will shoot the fade away from 12. And we get a loose ball whistle on Stanek and the Aggies with 35.5 left. And that will not lead to free throws, as we're not in the bonus on either side yet. So probably the last possession here for the Bulldogs. Powell's been dangerous as a shooter handling it. Sissoko getting some run late in the action. Will launch one on the catch and has it rattle out. Good box out by Rosing, allowing Yanez to pick up the loose ball. Cristiano left open, pulls up. Now Stanek with the loose ball. Rosing will launch a three and hit. And we get a stoppage here.
I think
it's 2.6.
Yeah, I think it's the clock.
So Rosing gets into double figures with her second three of the game. Give her 12 in the contest.
Yeah, they put 4.2 on it now.
Okay. Well, working to the final whistle to make things right as it needs to be. As we know, Fresno State probably just going to run out the clock here.
Meanwhile, Aloni Oliver is waiting to check in, but
That
is going to be it.
The best seat in the house to watch the final seconds of her team's victory here at the Alario Center. Fresno State back over 500 with their fourth win of the year, 4-3 overall. And New Mexico State falls to 1-5 as they complete this event 0-2, playing on Thanksgiving and now Black Friday.
Yeah, and certainly a gritty effort for New Mexico State after a tough one. They really took it on the chin early yesterday against a very good College of Charleston team. Came back and, to their credit, slowed Fresno State down and really frustrated them for a good portion of that first half. Like we said, they were able to get into the middle of the zone offensively, but some great halftime adjustments, especially defensively, from the Bulldogs. And for Coach Ryan McCarthy, like we said, there's still going to be some things to work on and improve upon going forward, but they did a tremendous job of creating a lot of extra possessions and then opening things up with the three ball led by Danae Powell.
A 17-point edge for the Bulldogs in points off of turnovers. They forced 25, a couple more than their average this year. That and the long-range shooting, as you mentioned, telling the tale. I'm Jude Young along with Emmanuel Peppes, thanking you for joining us here on the Big Easy Classic. We got two more games to go to wrap things up on Saturday starting at noon, and we hope you can join us here. All games free on YouTube. We also want to thank World Sports Travel for presenting this event here in Greater New Orleans for the second straight year. From Matt Merritt producing, we say so long, happy Thanksgiving, and look forward to you joining us tomorrow. High Point and College of Charleston at noon, and then at 2:30, Louisiana's Raging Cajuns taking on these Fresno State Bulldogs. Until then, as we like to say down here, bye, y'all.